Well, I retired when I was 55 years old. And I didn't plan on that. It just happened. It happened by accident. We always think that we have to have a lot of money in the bank, that we have to be set before we can retire. Well, I found out the opposite of that. It just happened. And I've been living pretty good. Now, depending on what your lifestyle is, it can be done. And I'm going to tell you my story and let you know that things aren't always as bad as they seem. Now, I will tell you that I live in a part of the country that is very low cost of living. My utility bills are not astronomical. They are affordable. I am not off grid. I have electricity. I do not have gas. I run propane in the wintertime, but not very often. I'm lucky if I go through two 40-pound tanks for an entire winter because the winters here are pretty mild. I have a cell phone bill, a few subscriptions. Other than that, and well, recently, a vehicle payment. Now, I would say my bills probably total, including the vehicle payment, probably $2,200 a month. That's it. My house is paid for. That's a whole nother story. I bought a house that needed a lot of renovation. I did this over the period of the last 12 years, and I've lived kind of frugal, but I haven't gone without anything. Because what happens when you retire, you're not getting in that vehicle every single day and going to work. You're not filling that gas tank 3 times a week. You're not stopping off at the Sonic or the McDonald's to get a breakfast or get a coffee. This is money that you save. There are times I wake up, I don't have breakfast at all. So I'm actually saving money there at home. I eat once a day. That's all I eat. That is the lifestyle I lead. If you've seen any of my videos, you know what I'm talking about. But it isn't nothing to be afraid of. Your situation does make a difference, though. If you are a single person, you've got all the options in the world. And it depends on what your lifestyle is. If you are used to having the best of everything and you like a lot of stuff, it's going to be a little more difficult for you. It also has to do with where are you in life? Do you own your home? How much time is left on do you have a mortgage? And if so, how many more years do you have to pay on that? When I came here in 2012, I had nothing but one suitcase and a box of my personal items. That was all I had. I'd just gotten divorced, and I vowed at that point, I'm done with relationships. I'm not doing this anymore. I've tried it enough. Maybe it's me. I don't know. I was a drinker at the time. That had nothing to do with the last divorce. But I said I'm gonna wing it on my own for the rest of my life. And we never know if that's going to change, but it's 14 years later since the divorce, and I'm still thinking that way. But I started simple. I purchased I had a place to stay. So I had a place to stay. A friend of mine needed help with something. I bought a very cheap and old fifth wheel. I stayed in that for the first year on his property while I worked at a ranch. I worked at a ranch. I didn't make but probably $12 an hour. He paid me cash. And then I got hurt, and then I went to work for a pawn shop. I made various amounts of money there. Some of it was commission based. I sold things on eBay. I sold cars for him. A lot of it was commission based. But I was able to find this place here that I am in for $10,500, 2 acres with a house. The previous owner had passed away. The family didn't want to deal with it. And so I bid on it on a probate sale and got it. And I've been working on it ever since. And I have turned this into a functional home. I got out of the fifth wheel. I did live in the fifth wheel for a couple of years here on the property while I renovated the house. But I didn't have to have the best of everything. I would spend about $40 a week on lumber, work on the house. And eventually it turned into something that, man, I can live now. It's paid off. The house is paid for. All I have is my utility bills, my phone bill, and insurance, and the things most things people have. And there's money left over every month. Now I do YouTube. Now, when I lost my job at the ranch 5 years ago, I started a YouTube channel. Up until a year ago, the YouTube was, I'd make a couple $100 a month. That was it. I would say average at 10,000 subscribers when I was doing this, I was making about $600 a month. If I had a video go bigger, I might make a little more. But it didn't really, it helped. It put gas in the gas tank, and that was about it. When I switched the way I ate and gave up drinking, that put a little bit more money in my pocket. Now, I did go carnivore, which people say, well, you're going to spend more money at the grocery store because meat is expensive. Well, not really, because I'm not buying the ice cream. I'm not buying all the stuff in the center of the grocery store. I am actually spending less on groceries, and I have a freezer full of meat than I did before. If you change your lifestyle from what you're used to, and it can be done, if you change your lifestyle to adjust for your income, you're going to find that you're making it. I mean, that's really all we need to do is make it and survive. If I lost every source of income I had right now, if I lost every source of income, I know I at least have a place I can stay. I don't have property tax here. We have a homesteader's credit, so I don't pay any property tax. All I pay is a personal property tax, which is about $100 a year. 120, I think I paid last time. Mostly on your vehicles, and if you have RVs and things like that. But I don't own a lot of those things, so the tax isn't eating me up. That is something else you have to look at. Where are you living? Because if you're living in New York City, forget it. You're working till you're 97 years old. Yeah. I don't understand why people live in such places. If you are not working in a specific field that you need to live there, to me, in my mindset, there's no reason to live in those kind of places full of people, full of expensive gas and high rents. You're going to have to find a place that's very affordable. And that's what I did. And I'm not going to give you my exact location, but I found a state that's affordable, where the people are normal, and it's rural. I don't have people, down my throat every day. It's peaceful. It's a peaceful life. And not everybody's going to find that. Not everybody is going to find that, but small town America, if you're planning to retire, you don't need a big city. A lot of people say, well, that's where the jobs are. Well, you're going to retire, you don't need a job, right? If you have, you're going to have some source of income. That's no doubt. But if you're, a lot of people are on like Social Security, disability, pulling in $2,000 a month or less. That's something. A lot of people might have a pension where they can pull early. Disabled veterans, if they're getting something, it's an income. And I started YouTube. It pays pretty good for me now, but if you have a skill, you can do carpentry. There's ways to make money. You have to be willing to do it and take the chance. A lot of people, the problem today is a lot of people they're afraid to take a risk. They are afraid to risk things. The way I look at it, what do you got to lose? What do you got to lose? You can always go back to work, right? But I would tell people, Man, start thinking about this at age 50 because a lot of people retire. They wait. They retire at 65, 67. Some people retire at 62 where they can draw Social Security, which I'm going, at 62, yes, pull it, pull it. You don't get as much, but you're going to get it longer and you'll be able to enjoy it earlier. There are pros and cons to whatever, get it at 62 or 67 now. I think it went up to 70. I may be wrong. But you have to cut spending. You have to find ways to live cheaper. That's basically it. You don't need a lot of things to be happy. I don't need a lot of things to be happy. 14 years I've been here, man. I got too much stuff. You would be surprised. I got rid of everything. I had one suitcase and a box when I got here. Now I got two sheds full of stuff, and my house is. I'm going to have a garage sale or something. But then there's people that come for that, and yeah, I don't know about that. But number one, man, don't be afraid to try it. If you're in a position where you don't have a family to support, or it's just you and your wife, and you're willing to give up some you're going to find out these sacrifices that you're talking about giving up, they're going to be replaced with things that you enjoy. You don't need a 3-car garage in a suburb of a city around in a cookie cutter neighborhood to be happy. Now, a lot of people don't like to live rural. As I was saying, there is a ton of small towns in the United States where you can pick up a house cheap. You can pick up a trailer cheap. You can pick up a travel trailer and travel. If I didn't have animals, I think that might have been one of the routes I would take, was probably being, what do they call it, boondocker or whatever. I don't know. And who's to say I may not do that in the future when they're gone? Don't limit yourself. There are plenty of places left in this country that you can live cheaply. Well, I gotta watch how I use that word. I don't know about cheap, but you can live on a lot less than you would in a city. The more population, the more it's going to cost you. That's a good way to look at it. The more remote you get, the cheaper it's going to get. But then you also have issues like I have. There's not a Walmart. The nearest Walmart is an hour from me. The nearest grocery store is 15 miles from me. The prices in that grocery store are a little bit higher than if I were to go to Walmart or somewhere else. But they're worth it because it's 15 miles from here. You might think that's a long way. When you live rural for a while, 15 miles is nothing. It's a half a day for me just to go to the city and do shopping and things, but you're retired, right? So what else you got to do? I look forward to these trips and I try to make them count. I spend less being retired than I ever spent working. A lot less. Because I enjoy being home. You have to be a kind of a homebody to make it work. But out of the 7 days of the week, I'm probably home, and I'm talking about trips to Walmart or trips to the city. 2 days a week, I probably leave this place, and the rest of the time I'm here. But I've made my home enjoyable. I have different things I can do at home. I don't have to sit on my butt and watch TV. That's not retirement. If you're going to retire, you need activities. You need something to do, something to build, something to do with your hands. Sitting on your butt isn't gonna benefit you in any way. That is just what worked for me, and I don't know. The main object of this video is to tell you, man, don't be afraid to try it. If you've got a house you can sell, where you could sell it and put some money in the bank, hey, buy a travel trailer or just get in your vehicle before you sell your house and go travel the country a little bit and find these little towns. There are towns in Kansas and all over the place that are dirt cheap. What do you need in life? That's what you have. You have to make a list. What do I require to be happy? And then when you make that list, look at that list and say, do I really need a steakhouse 5 miles from my house? No, you don't. Check that off the list. Start eliminating the things that you're doing now, but could seem ridiculous if you're retired. Our lifestyles change all the time. I don't do the things I used to do 20 years ago. I don't go the places I used to go 20 years ago. You will notice that as you age, you don't have the same interest anymore. Maybe because you physically can't do it, or it grew old. It grew old. You don't enjoy that anymore. You picked up a new hobby. There's always new. That's a nice thing about life. When you can bring new things that you're doing into your life, it makes it a lot more enjoyable. I don't think this was a video that's going to give you all the answers. I think the key here is don't be afraid to try it. It's not as expensive as you might think it is. And I actually, buying a new vehicle and buying a tractor, I kind of made mine a little more expensive than it was. But as I've said on my main channel, I pay things off. I try to pay things off rather quickly. And because I don't like debt, that is key to keep, don't come into something you can't retire if you have $100,000 in credit card debt. You can't retire if you got to have some sort of income. But if you can manage that, if you can even work from home, if you're fortunate enough where you have a skill that you can work from home doing something, man, it beats being home than being in an office, doesn't it? So if you're considering retiring early, all I'm doing here is just letting you know, hey man, go for it. Go for it. I would. I did. And I'm never going back to working because it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher with companies today. All they care about is their profit margin. They don't care about you, and they certainly don't care about your retirement. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you thinking of retiring young? I say go for it. Happy trails.